Hi Patreon members, how are you doing today? This is what I'm going to call the first of the next following theme of preparing your bats and rovings into a way or a method to create colour combinations, gradients, this, that and the other. We'll go through them as we go along. I'm not going to give anything away at this moment in time. Sneaky, caught you. But what I'm going to do is talk you through and sort of guide you. Now, some of them you're going to know and you're like, especially today's when you go, Joe, that's a bit easy. But I could have members on here that really haven't got much idea what to do or how to go, and maybe they're new. They've only just recently started spinning, so they're just buying in wool and spinning it willy-nilly like we all did, okay? But what they might not realise is different ways and different techniques and methods to preparing your rovings or preparing your bats later down the line into making really unique, pretty yarns. Now, my methods are universal methods. Everybody uses them. Quite a lot of people use them, especially in my niche, and it's why we design our wools and rovings and our bats the way we do. So what I will be doing is showing my interpretation. Now, it might be, you might think it's wrong or it's not the right way, or maybe I could have done it a different way. That's fine. We've all got our own way, just like we've all got our own accents. We're not all going to pronounce the words in the same way as somebody from Yorkshire and someone from Scotland, are we? We've all got our own unique individuality. So when I'm preparing these, take into mind that you can experiment a little bit more. All I'm doing is giving you the foundation and the springboard to go off on your own, just to have a go, okay? So I hope you got me on that one. So remember the video, the short video I put up the other day then, I was talking about Galway wool, and I showed you the different layouts of my tray dice, which I'll put them up here for you to see now. So I'm going to tilt you down as well, so watch, it might be a little bit roller coaster, but I want you to have a look at these because I've got them laid out on my table. There we go. Can you see those? So this, if you remember the video from the other day that I posted up last Monday, I did this Galway roving, and there's the tray facing me lengthways up, okay? And what I did was, you've seen me do these before, I've done a widthwise zigzag layering up the die tray so that I could hand paint it. Okay, so I started off and I did two rovings, 100 grams of each, and they will have got the exact same colours in them. Okay, so I started off with this blue, then I went to the sapphire, and then went into a pistachio, and then I went into two different versions of teals. Now, when you're dyeing rovings in a tray and hand painting them, you will find that you're going to end up with sections of the wool that the dye's not seep through, and it's sort of, I suppose you could use the word coagulated, in where the fibres have been really quite compressed and squashed together in the dye tray when they've been sat in the acid water. Okay, but that makes a really unique yarn. It's really pretty, whether you spin it like this or if you spin it, blend it up in your bats later on. It helps soften out the colours when you do that. But doing this is really quite nice, and it's got a gorgeous mottled look throughout it. The next one we've got, let me just tilt you over this way, is when I laid it in my larger die tray, and I did from top to bottom of the length of the tray in the exact same zigzag method. And then I started off with the darker blue, then the sapphire, and I painted the dye over the top and transitioned it all the way to the beginning. That is the layout that it was in, if I remember rightly. It may have actually gone somewhere more along the lines of like that or something, but yeah, you've got the gist of it. So there we go, hold it down that way, so you can see where the colours transition through. Probably a bit more down there but yeah, you've got the gist of it. So you've got blue up the top of the tray, and then it went like that way. But what we've ended up creating is shorter colour blocks on this roving by doing it that way. Okay, so you can see the dark blue sections there, sapphire blue, pistachio green, into a teal green, and then a sage green. Okay, so when we spin this, we will end up with shorter colour transitions all the way through, when you're spinning it from tip to tail. On this one, when you're spinning it, if you spin it like this, you're looking at really long colour blocks from the solid blues all the way through to the greens, with a little bit of leaching from the dyes from each other, but you have got predominantly the same colour blocks as you go along, with a variation where it's bled into each other, and it really makes interesting colour tones that you might not have created yourself purposely. Okay, so we have got the short colour block and the long coloured block rovings, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with 50 grams of each of them today, and I'm going to do the exact same prep method, and then I'm going to spin them off exactly the same, and then I'm going to exactly the same as in how I'm going to prep it now. I'll do with the shorter colour sections, I will do the exact same prep method and spin them off together, ply them up in the same way, so that you can see the two different effects once they've been spun up, and then I'll knit the swatches for you to see the results. So I want to get my long coloured roving, so the long sections, the one that I dyed widthwise in the tray. So these are hand painted rovings. The solid dyes usually I do in a big pot, which is kettle dyed rovings. So I'm just gonna quickly braid this up. No, I'm not. I'm just gonna wrap it around my hand. Now that is 1/2, so it's roughly about 25 grams on there. I'm going to coil up the exact same blue end first. That's ready for me to use. Put them to one side. Now I'm going to get my short colour change roving, which I did lengthwise, and did the striping across the middle, just the exact same layout as what I did with the widthwise. Only difference is the wool was laid out in a different way. So again, I'm just going to split that straight down the middle, as evenly as I possibly can. Okay, and I have got a little bit extra left over here because the wool had to actually split when I was working with it, and I know where the ends are on that, so it should really be like that there, you see. So I'm just going to wrap that up, and then they'll get spun off, and then again wrap this end up, and they'll get split as well. At this moment while I'm doing these, I'm not thinking of any, I'm just going to spin it as I would do if I was sitting down just enjoying myself, okay? I'm not going to spin it to get a lace weight or a DK weight. For these videos, I'm just going to spin my wool as I like. I'm not going to do the grist, I'm not looking for measurements. I just want to show you preparation, and then the samples of what it looks like when it's finished. Okay, so I'll get you over there next to the wheel, and I'll get a quick natter with you there as well. So we're going to start off with this one here, and I'll bring you around to have a look what I'm doing. I'll spin up some of this, and then I'll pop off, get this bit spun up, and start the second one, and I'll catch you towards the end of that is how we'll do this, and then we'll get it over the plied up. So I need a basket to put this in. It's been a while since I've done any spinning, and you might notice that the girls aren't here. They're downstairs with the dad because they're a messy pair of so-and-sos, and they hijacked my chair, as you all know, and I need them out the way so I can sit in the spin, because it's my spinning chair and it's currently covered in dog naggles, so I can't put any wool in it. Oh, do you know, clean blanket on here as well. Anyway, enough of me whinging, I'm going to get on with this. So, key thing to remember as well, what colour you started with. What colour you started with when you spin your first one on here. So I'm just going to do my tension, get myself going. There we go. I do not know why that's griping. There we go. I've just oiled all this up the other week, so I'm just going to spin. Why is that griping? Bear with me a minute. I think I might have to find some oil. Here we go again. There we go. I just needed some oil on my pivot where my treadle is, because there's metal pins going to the wood. So it'll warm up in a bit, it'll calm down. So I'm just going to spin, and I like to spin top end. So once I get over to the right side of my roving, I'll show you in a bit, I like to flip it over so I can draft and spin out onto the other side, and I keep repeating that action as I go along, and that's so I can try and keep the colour blocks separate when I'm spinning on it. So now I'll show you, because if I spun all the way down one side, I'm going to end up with loads of section of this dark green sat on its own, and then what may end up happening is I end up transitioning and discolouring the section I want to keep this dark teal with a lighter version of the teal which comes next. And what I'm really wanting to do is just keep these two colours separate from one another, so they don't bleed into each other, don't leach into different colour sections. I want it to do it gradually when it's time to change colour, not because I've not concentrated and thought about spinning the top of my roving. I'm going to stick with calling it roving for now. It's commercial top. Well, this is actually a combed top, but we'll just stick with roving for terminology because it just makes life easier. Okay, I'll just keep doing that until I get to the other side of my roving, and then I'll flip it over. And though I'm right-handed, I'm actually a left-hand dominant spinner. In that way, is anybody else the same? Yeah, I like to control the way the yarn comes out with my left hand. And then my right hand holds and controls the fibre. There we go. So we're now coming to the next transition, nearly there. The teal's starting to lighten up a little bit, can you see? So flip it over again and start from the left side of the roving and catch the fibre so I can get over to the right side of the top of my roving. And then swap over again. And it's just a gentle twist, twist, and again. There we go. And then again, flip it over a minute, just take that bit of this out. I'm going to move my yarn up to the next hook as well while I'm stopped still. Oh, a little bit tuggy. I'll just reduce that tension a little bit. I'm getting a nice weight on there, but I don't want it tugging at my hand. There, I'm back on the right side again, so flip it over so I'm working from the left to the right. And again back on the right side, so flip it over so I'm working from the left to the right again. It's quite a nice fibre to work with this actually. It's the first time I've spun up this Galway. And then again. And then just gently turn over your hand. So you're turning palm up to the right side. And then start from the left with the palm down. And then spinning top across to my right side. And again. And I'm just starting to see the transition of this colour coming through because it's looking slightly barber poled, where you've got the two colours, the lighter version and the darker version, are now starting to cross together. So that is me now on the second colourway, just bleeding through into there, which was the sage, no, it was just actually teal green. and then turn my hand over. Turn my hand over and just keep following the top of that natural movement. There we go. So what we'll do is I'll get this other side, this one spun off now, and then I'll come back to you when I'm nearly finished the second half, and I'll bring you in for a closer view so you can actually see the way I'm spinning it and how my hand's moving, and why I'm wanting to change the colour sections, and so they're not leaching into each other too rapidly. Okay, so there we go. I'll just stop that a moment and I will pause this and I'll catch you in a bit. So that's me at the end of the second one now. I've filled up that bobbin with the 25-ish grams of 1/2 of the roving, and now I'm just about to go into the colour transition from the lighter blue into the darker blue, and you can see how I want to keep those colour blocks. So I'm spinning along the top. I'll just peel that off there and then I can always add it. I'm spinning along the top from my left to my right and then just turn it around every so often, just so I can keep the drafted spun yarn on the same side. So the best way to do this, if you've never done this before, spin along the top, is to make sure that your fibres are quite open and flat. Okay, you don't want them curled up and thingy, because you'll just end up with a really pointy end, which is fine, that's what you want. But for me, I want to try and make sure that I differentiate on the yarn these two different colour sections. So I literally spin along there till I get to the far side of the roving, and then I twist it round and then start again from left to right. And I just think that helps me get proper uniformed colour sections of transition through, when it's absolutely obvious where the colour starts and stops. So again, just keep turning my hand over every so often. This will, because I'm literally spinning with 1/4 of a roving. So because I've split it in half to divide the 100 grams, put that to one side and then split the other half in half, I'm essentially spinning with 1/4 of a roving. So I've got a really airy, already feels like it's been drafted roving, when in actual fact it's just not compressed next to each other and it's got room to move and pull it really easily with my fibre. There we go. And I'll just keep doing that. I'm nearly at the end. So how are you doing? Are you spinning along with me? If you've got any questions or queries or just even ideas, don't forget you can put them down below, either at the bottom of the video on YouTube, or you can put them in the comments and suggestions underneath on the Patreon page, or you can just put them to one side and ask me in the monthly Q&A. So I'll be putting up a post for that again, I think next week. I did Q&A 2 weeks ago now. So yeah, the notice will be going up for a Q&A. So if you've got any questions or queries, pop them down in a postcard, drop me an email, but preferably stick them on Patreon underneath the post. It'll always be it'll either be a Woolly Cottage logo or it will be a comical sheep. That's where you'll find the Q&As. I do need to go into the background and hopefully see if there's any way that I can rename the category so it's easy for you to find topics on video content that I've done over the last year, because that is officially a year old over here now. So there we go. Nearly there. I've got a couple of inches left, if that. And because I'm just on the solid blue, I'm just spinning it any which way. I'm not too bothered about spin along the top because it's getting thinner and thinner and thinner, and I've literally got less than a quarter of a gram in my hand. So I like to give it an extra couple of twists on the end, hold on to it, and then I'll let it go through. Just undo my Scotch tension, take the bobbin off, swap it out. So there we go, that got two of those, and I started off with the teal colour. A minute, I'm just going to just tighten up my laser K. It's very slack. Oh, there we go. So started off with both of them with teal to blue. Put them both on there. Get my next bobbin ready so I can ply them both together. There we go. Put my cable for my tension over the back again. Oh, tighten my tension here, but not too much. And then get my hook, pull that through there if it feels like coming through. I'm just using this leftover yarn that's, if it wants to actually work, this leftover yarn. And hopefully you can create a half hinge in there to thread, just keep a hold of it, thread one end with my blue and the other bobbin end of my blue, and then I want to spin in the opposite direction. This is where it could get complicated. Oh, hold on a minute, it always goes wrong. Disagreement with the spinning wheel, as everyone has it. And I'm just going to ply at my ease. Hopefully the blues will transition together, and what my hope is that I will create a gradient colour blocking from the dark blues down into the mid greens and then the teal green at the very end, which makes it gorgeous wool for knitting with if you want to make long socks or shawls or pattern work in your yoke on a jumper where you want the colour to transition through, especially if it's a really lovely like snowflakey sort of pattern work. That looks fantastic, or anything else that you could be working on. Right, I'm just going to adjust my yarn status. Right, so I'm just going to pop off and get this done, and I will just see you when I get the short sectioned rovings on the bobbin. So that's me. I've spun up 1/2 of the short colour, 25 grams of roving on 1/2, and I'm just finishing off the last bit now, and then we're going to apply that off. But can you see it's shorter transitions of colours compared to the other one? Very different look in the same colourways. It's amazing what the perspective is of things when you just change it up a little bit and do shorter compared to longer when you're spinning it. So that is done, and I'm just gonna give that a few extra twists in the end. I just like to do that so I know it's completely twisted. So we're going to get that off now. Undo the tension. Take my bobbin off, swap it up for another one, put that on there, take my spare, put on the shaft, put my Scotch tension back over the back of my bobbin, and then get that around the orifice, through the orifice I should say. Let me just get that in there, my link on my leader. Reposition myself so I'm a bit more comfortable, and then get my two ends that I have just spun from my bobbins. Easy peasy. Let me just switch around so you can see, there you go. Sorry if the light's not brilliant, but we can't have it always. It's really quite bright in here today because it's actually sunshine. I feel like a vampire. So I have to remember, obviously, that I'm going in the opposite direction because I usually spin from right to left. And I just need to turn up that tension so it starts to pull it in. Oh, bracelet's caught. There we go, and that's starting to pull. So we're going through the blues at the moment with a hint of teal. I'm just going to tighten that up a bit more. And I'm just going to keep applying this on as I go along. So this one will be more like a barber pole in sections where you've got two colours playing against each other. And I just don't know how I've ended up with a different colour at the end of this one in comparison to what I spun, because that's not what I spun. So I've ended up with two different colours. I have no idea. It should be blue at the end of this one. Right, I'm just going to knock up my roving to the next one, and again, start again. There we go, the green's starting to catch up now. But it's quite a nice transition, that blue into teal. Sage green, then teal. And then into the pistachio again in a bit. So that's just now getting into the teals. I feel like I just want to turn that tension up a little bit again. And just quite feed it in. That's all you're really doing when you're applying up. It's quite this is the lazy part of it. This is the bit where you're not concentrating half as much on spinning, and you can just sit here and catch up on the TV that you've missed while you've been concentrating doing something else. So I'm going to get ready to move it down another hook in a second. Right, move it on to the next hook. And we're seeing the colours changing quite quickly as I'm spinning it along, which you'll see in a minute when I've got it in a scheme. And because I'm only spinning two 25-gram sections from a 50-gram roving, it does spin up really, really quickly. But it's a nice amount for doing a sample, if you want to do samples and put them to one side. You could do 30-gram samples and split them and do the same thing. When you're just doing a simple preparation, that is, if you're talking two-way and three-way fractal spins preparations, then you need the width on the roving to be able to split those yarns and prepare them a little bit better. But it's not impossible, it is doable. You just don't want to split that roving. If you're going to work with a small weight, don't split the roving down the middle. You want a roving that's got a short colourway change for doing the sample. I think it's probably the best way to do it. But just once you do your first or second repeat of the 3 or 4 colours or 5 colours that you dyed with, then that's when I would take that section and just pull it apart, and then you can do your vertical down through the tube of roving. Right, so we're on to the next section, which is, well, one's going blue and one's going soft green in a minute. Teal at the moment. Yeah, it's definitely looking like more of a barber pole with really quick changes of colour in this. They're not measuring up together. I never know why when you apply it. The only way you could stop really it doing this, or you're having any yarn left over in your bobbin, is your best mate, which is called a centre pull ball. One of those means you never have any wastage. So like we just did the gradient then, and I'll explain this a little bit better in a minute, but that you could put onto a centre pull ball as well and just spin it all onto one bobbin. Right, so we're just going to tease this off here now. We're over halfway down. And I'm going to change my hook on this section and then go that way. And I never understand why you can have the exact same weight on each bob and spin it the exact same weight, like weight of wool and the weight in in thickness, the exact same on both bobbins. Yet when you're plying them, you end up with one bobbin full of more fibre than you do the other one. I've never understood how it does that. So I try to chop and change which fibre I have crisscrossing in my hand. So I'll swap it that way for a bit and try and even out one of the bobbins, and I'll swap it that way and see if that evens out the weight of the bobbins, because there's always one that has more than the other. I just can't fathom it out. It's giving it, matrixing it into lovely, lovely ocean blues. This, it's not quite turned out how I expected it to turn out. So my bobbin that's closest to the wheel now is now back to sages and teal greens again, and my other bobbin is back to dark blue. But it's actually really quite nice. That's the whole point about hand spinning, I think, is no matter what you do, you're always going to get completely different yarn proportions or colour proportions than what you thought. But as long as you go along with the idea that this is the possibility of what it can do. Right, so there we go. I'm at the end of one bobbin and I'm just going to finish off applying that, snap that off, snap that one off and let that feed in. There we go. So I'll be back with you in a minute and we'll get this, I'll get my yarn skeined up and we'll have a quick chat about that before I finish. Right, what do you think? Just stand with the light behind me and you can see the colour transitions through. This is the one we've just finished. This is the short colour changes and it's turned out really quite nice. It's really quite good, isn't it? So there we go. So there's the short colour transitions there. Applied with this one, and I literally just split them in half and then spun them end to end. Not a problem. So you've got a little bit of barb pollen going on, but it's colours that are chopping and changing throughout, and it's really quite unique. It's lovely. Excuse the light and glare. There you go. Next one is this one here. So that was done with the roving. That was a long colour transition, and there is what we have. So I'll bring you around so you can actually see with the light within the true colours. So you've got the teals that go in there, the blues, and long lengths of them throughout. Let me just try and hold it properly so you can see. So there we go. So you've got the blues going down all the way down, and then they start to transition into the lighter green, and then they start to transition into the teal. So yeah, quite impressed. I can get them rolled up into a skein now. Okay, so I'm just going to wind these up. So what I'm going to do, look at that. Yeah, what I'm going to do with these is got to steam them, leave them to rest overnight. Wouldn't normally, but I'm going to do it for this. I've got to steam them, let them rest overnight, and then tomorrow I'll knit up the swatches, or over the weekend I shall knit the swatches, and then I will pop them on for you before I upload this video onto Patreon. No, I won't actually. What I'll do is I'll get this video uploaded onto Patreon, and I will show the end results of these rovings in yarns on the next video. More especially, I'm thinking if some of the preps that we do are quite long-winded, then we won't have time for showing swatches at the end of the videos. So I think when I'm doing these fibre preparations, the swatches you'll find the following week on the next video, and I'll use that as my intro to show you the results from the week before, if that makes sense. And not just that, I've got loads of things going on at the moment behind the scenes, and I just might not, okay, look at that, I just might not have the time to sit and get it done all in like the space of a day or 2 days. And to knit to 50-gram swatches is not a massive deal, but it's time consuming, and as I say, I've got other things to do, and come a certain time of day I like to just chill out like the rest of you, and I've got my videos for YouTube to do as well. So there we go, we have got 2 skeins of yarn. They look slightly different from each other. Hold on, I'll come around this way a little bit so hopefully you can see them. You can't see them. You can't see them. Hold on. There we go. That's a bit better. So there is the yarn that was spun with the short colour changes. Isn't that cool? And then that is the yarn that was spun in the long colour changes. So spin your short colours end to end in any which way you want to do. Spin this one from tip to tail in the same colour transition, and you do end up still with your colour changes and everything else through it, but it really does come out quite pretty. And for me, in my perception, this has come out looking really quite seasidey, tealy blues matrixing, and this one's got more solid character to it. So I'm interested to see what these look like swatched up. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is the type of content you're going to start seeing throughout the rest of this year while we get into the preparation of the bats. There's a couple of ideas. If you guys got anything else, or maybe a way that you do it that maybe nobody else knows how to do, or technique that you think you created yourself, and that's just how you do it, the process, let me know down below, and I will see if I can have a go, and it might be interesting to be able to share that with everybody else. Anyway, don't forget, please do hit that like when you watch the video over on YouTube through the link. It really does help my algorithms grow, even though it's a private video. And when you're over on YouTube, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, can you please pop over and do that? It really does help my channel to grow. I think I'm at 946 at the moment. I really want to get to 1,000 this year. It'd be absolutely perfect if I can get to 1,000. It would be amazing. I do not get paid for any content that's over there, or advertisements that may turn up on my videos. Nothing to do with me whatsoever. You guys are the ones that help me create these videos, and videos like these that go eventually onto YouTube. You help support my channel. So for that, I'm very grateful. So for now, take care of yourself, and I shall see you the other side of the week. Bye for now.